Hey there, everyone. This is Dan from the Strength Coach Tutor. So today I'm actually starting something new that I don't normally do. Is that I'm going to start trying to give you guys some training updates in terms of myself. And I think this is going to be a really important topic with everyone returning to the gym post-quarantine, during this crazy time of the COVID pandemic and that. Especially if you did not have access to, any type of weightlifting or resistance training equipment during quarantine, and now you're heading back to the gym, you're realizing that we've experienced a lot of detraining. I'm in that same category. I did some body weight stuff. I have a couple resistance bands that I used. Went to the track occasionally to do some sprints. But beyond that, that's all I did. Not that I'm saying still plenty, but, it actually lifting weights does have a different effect on you, right? Your first few days especially are going to be rough going back, and I can relate to that. And so I guess I want to talk about now is my experience of what's been like going back to the gym in terms of, how my body's adapting and feeling, what I anticipated experiencing the greatest amount of detraining, if you will. So kind of going into this, based on like what I was doing in terms of my training during quarantine, I knew especially my grip strength was going to suffer the most because I wasn't lifting anything heavy, right? I had never gripped anything that weighed a lot, right? And so I knew from that standpoint that was going to suffer a lot, and so therefore my grip strength is going to suffer. I know my deadlift and my pull-ups are not going to be so hot coming back, and especially I didn't really have any access or setups to do a lot of heavy or high intensity types of vertical pulling. I didn't have anywhere really to do pull-ups. Even if I set up like a resistance band up high and pulled down, it just isn't the same, right? And of course, if I didn't have anything to carry, I also didn't do any heavy deadlifts or carries or anything like that, right? So the point being is, and how I kind of had my thought process kind of now going back, having done my first week, and I'm kind of in the middle now of my second week here, going back to the gym, and that I initially had made my workouts for my first week with very short rest periods. I wanted this to be very cardiovascular, metabolically demanding. I wanted to at least test my cardiovascular fitness and my metabolic fitness, if you will, to some degree. And so for every exercise, for every set, I aimed to take 30 seconds rest for that whole first week. And especially wearing a mask in the gym, it was incredibly challenging. And it was a little discouraging at first too, I won't lie, in terms of, I'm thinking like, oh gosh, I can only deadlift this much, but like, I did have to take into account, like, I am only taking, this amount of rest, so I do have to realize, like, I'm not going to be able to lift this much weight, obviously, right? And so kind of seeing how that first week went, I was really eager to get back trying to lift heavier because, I do want to, of course, increase strength, right? Of course, every guy wants to increase strength and increase muscle mass while somehow at the same time trying to decrease body fat, right? You can if you're really good about your diet, which not my strong point. You can do that. You absolutely can do that, but it's very difficult, right? As we all know. But of course, I want to make sure I can at least try and touch and reach my previous levels of strength, and I want to see how far away I really was. And so after going through that first week doing I was doing about 4 sets of 8 for my primary lifts, and for most exercises too, with only that 30 seconds rest. So again, that was pretty difficult. But now going into the second week, what I have planned is doing 4 sets of 5 to 6 for all my main lifts, and allowing as much rest as needed. And so, of course, if I'm only doing 5 to 6 reps, then I'm have been aiming to increase the weight that I'm using. And so far, at this point this week, I've done a lower body lift and upper body lift, and then a cardio day. And for the lower body lifts, especially my 2 main lower body lifts I'm trying to focus on right now are barbell front squat and traditional or conventional barbell deadlift. And I have to say I was pleasantly happy with how I was able to perform with allowing that greater rest periods. I definitely surprised myself. Something that also really helped me too in terms of deadlifting, I do like to do a double overhand grip. I know, everyone likes to do the mixed or alternating grip, but I I feel like that's a better testament to your grip strength if you can do double overhand grip, and I feel it's just more symmetrical in my back too. And instead of having one shoulder internally rotated and one externally rotated, it doesn't feel right for me. So I just like to do double overhand. Again, just personal preference. But I actually had to start going to a new gym because the one that I normally go to, that their one location has closed. So I've had to now travel a little bit further to go to another location. And it's a lot nicer. And even though it's farther, the trade-off is that it's a lot nicer gym and better equipment and so forth. So can't complain about that. But what they did have was liquid chalk. And even though I do bring my own chalk, I was like, hey, you know what? Let me just try the liquid chalk. And I hadn't used chalk my first week either. But having used chalk this week, especially for deadlifting, it was fantastic. It was like night and day, I feel like, in terms of my grip strength. I feel like I could have kept going higher and higher in terms of weight. So I was really happy about that. I'm looking forward to see what the rest of September brings in terms of that and see where I can go. And so, again, the barbell front squat and the barbell deadlift are my two primary lifts that I'm focusing on for the month of September. And for upper body, I'm really focusing on dumbbell bench pressing and pull-ups, of course, because my pull-ups are atrocious right now. So that's really what I'm focusing on in terms of my list for this month. Where I'm going to go after this week, I'm not too sure personally. I'm kind of aiming for trying to increase the weight and keeping the same amount of reps and same rest scheme as well. That's what I'm trying to aim for there. We'll see how the rest of the week goes. And yeah, we'll take it day by day. I'm trying to be as flexible as I can, kind of have low expectations, but at the same time, test myself a little bit, because I'm really using this whole month of September here to kind of establish a baseline of fitness and just a baseline of myself, like, where am I at now in terms of 1 month coming back to the gym, like, what am I capable of, what are my weaknesses, and what am I going to try and strive for and work on in the coming months and so forth, and make goals based on that. And I think the key lesson from this is be patient with yourself, during your first month or so coming back to the gym. Like, it's going to be hard. It's going to be difficult. It's going to be challenging. You have, to some degree, in some way, shape, or form, have probably experienced detraining if you have not been consistently resistance training during the, during this time of the pandemic in terms of COVID here. So, again, be patient with yourself. But also test yourself, test the waters. Don't, put your feet in and gradually put more and more in your body in the water until you're, neck deep, right? Until you can really see, like, okay, this is what I'm capable of right now. Where was I before quarantine, and what can I do to get there, right? And of course, there's a million ways to get to the same destination. It's up to you on how you want to get there. But really what I'm looking forward to doing from here on out is making more videos like this, sharing more of my workouts for you, sharing my progress. I'm going to try also share more on my Instagram and my Instagram stories, along my daily progress or weekly progress and whatever it is that I'm doing. So something I do need to get better into is tracking my body weight, and I used to like tracking my waist circumference, which I definitely need to do because that's a big thing I really need to work on right now, honestly. But we'll get there. Those habits will come. There's been a lot of change going on, I think, for everyone, and I'm no exception to that, but I'm looking forward to getting back into the groove of routine and things, and, as The Rock likes to say, finding your anchor, and I can totally relate to that, and it's nice to have that back. So, I wish all you guys the best in terms of going back to the gym, and of course, do it safe. Don't try and attempt your 1 rep max your first day back, because you're going to, 1, be disappointed, and 2, possibly get hurt. So, give yourself some time to ease into that kind of stuff. All right, guys? Well, it's been a pleasure, and please come back in the future and check out more of my updates in terms of my training log and other preparation materials for the NSCA CSCS exam. Thanks, guys.